So we now have the algebraic version of 2D convolution. And what do we want next? Of course, we want the graphic or pictorial representation of that the same way we did in 1D. So let's go ahead and look at that. So let me remind you, we have our discrete time image. It is parameterized by, of course, columns and rows. Each value corresponds to the pixel value in the corresponding image. We're sticking with grayscale now, so we don't have to lug around yet another piece of notation, which is the color channel. What did we see before? We saw that if we want to know what the output from a linear time invariant system is when we feed it this as input, all we have to do is get the unit impulse response. That is, feed an impulse into your LTI, get a response. Let's say it looks something like this with a 3x3 value. By the way, why 3x3 and why not 5x5, 7x7? We'll get there in a little bit. Let's assume this is the output. And then the output, you can think of the output as like a little image. There it is right there. It just has 3 values by 3 values, like a little square. This is exactly like a signal. When we had the 1D signal, the unit impulse response just had 3 values. And so now my response is just a little image. And when I convolve it, well, we could go through the algebra, but you sort of know what it's going to do. It has to have that same sliding motion as before, but now I just have to slide in 2 directions. Now, I couldn't make the pixels quite as small because you wouldn't see it, so excuse me if I'm just showing you this in a very cartoon way, but we take that little unit impulse response right there, it just has a bunch of numbers in it, and I plop it down at the top of the image. Let's not worry about edge artifacts right now. And for each pixel underneath it, I multiply the pixel in the image times the pixel in the unit impulse response, and then I sum them all up, and that's the value at the center of that unit impulse response. And then what do? Well, I slide it over 1, and I do the same thing. Pointwise multiply, summation, and now that's the output at that pixel, the next pixel over. And I do it again, and I do it again, and I do it again. And of course, when I get to the end, I go back to the beginning and scan over. So now it's a 2D sliding, left to right, slide down 1 pixel, left to right, slide down 1 pixel, left to right, like the old-fashioned typewriters. You get to the end of the line, go back to the beginning of the line. That's what you should have in your head as convolution. Now, what can we do with these convolutions? We haven't actually said anything yet. We just said, there's a linear time invariant system and it has some impulse response and you can convolve and things can happen. And it turns out you can do a fair number of interesting things. I've already hinted at one of them, which is the blurring. So here is an original image. Here's an original image. Here is a blurry image, and here is a sharp image. And underneath the blurry and the sharp image are the unit impulse responses that gave rise to that image. That is, when I convolve this original image by that filter, kernel, unit impulse response, I'll use those terms interchangeably, I get a slightly blurry version of the image. By the way, look at those values for a second and see if they make sense to you. What does it mean to blur an image? It means you're sort of averaging all the values. And we've already actually seen that earlier on when we were doing 2D. And so notice what this little guy is doing over here. It's just averaging the values in a weighted fashion. It puts more emphasis on the center value and less emphasis on the outside values, but it's taking a weighted sum. You can't probably see it immediately, but those values sum to 1. So I'm taking a weighted sum of the values, and I'm just doing this very slight blurring of the image, and that's what you see in the middle panel. The next one is a sharpening filter, if you will, the opposite of a blurring filter. And you can see here that it looks a little crisper. And by the way, if you've ever played with Photoshop, there's a sharpen filter and unsharp mask. There's all these versions of sharpening. It's basically doing a variant of that right there. It's convolving with a filter. Now, you got to be asking yourself, why those values? Like, where did that come from? We don't actually know yet, but we will later on in the semester understand where that came from and why it has the property of sharpening the image versus blurring the image. But there are 2 really useful things to do. It's not immediately clear why you'd want to blur an image, but it turns out that's actually a useful operation. It's certainly clear why you would want to sharpen an image because you can enhance certain details in an image. Arguably, one of the most common manipulations that has been done in computer vision and image processing for decades now is edge detection or image gradients. And so let's talk about that, and I'm gonna have you implement this as one of your exercises. So for example, here, if you look at me, you'll notice that on my lapel and my shirt, there's a big transition from dark to light. Similarly, on the collar, where my hairline comes down on my head. And those regions in an image are really interesting because those transition often, for example, not so much here because there's a black background here, but often will distinguish between different parts or objects in an image. They can maybe segment me, except in this very contrived studio setup, from the background, or maybe my shirt from my jacket, or my shirt from my head, or my hair from my head. So those transitions can be very meaningful, and we can find those transitions with some simple convolutions. Well, let's talk about that. So what I'm showing you here is sort of the final output of what I want, which is the gradient. So what this is it's a bright pixel wherever there's a big transition. So look at the area around the tie here, on the background, and along the ear and the eyes. Big transitions in intensity. And the way we're going to compute that is by doing two convolutions and then a little bit more computation. The first computation is to compute the vertical change in intensity, or what we call the vertical derivative. So this tells me how much is intensity changing as I look up and down pixel value. So imagine sitting at 1 pixel, looking above you, looking below you, and asking what is the difference? Is that big or is it small? If both of those values are the same, there's no change in intensity. If they're really different, there's a big change in intensity, either in the positive or the negative. Well, how do I determine that calculation? Well, I just want to difference the two values above me. And so let's look at the filter, or unit impulse response. It has a bunch of negative values on top and a bunch of positive values in the bottom. They've got this sort of weird scale value, and they're not exactly the same numbers. Don't worry too much about that. But just look that we've got a bunch of negative values, a bunch of positive values. So that's going to respond high when there's a big gap in intensity in the vertical direction. The next panel is the horizontal derivative. It tells me what is the rate of change in intensity left to right. How do I do that? I look at my left neighbor, I look at my right neighbor, and I say, are you different? Compute the difference. And now notice that that filter or kernel is just a transposed or a rotated version of this, where I'm now asking for changes in intensity left to right. So now I've got what is the rate of change in intensity in the vertical direction, what is the rate of change of intensity in the horizontal direction, and now I have two values at every pixel, change in x, change in y. Deep dig back into your multivariate calculus, and remember, when you have a two-dimensional derivative, you can ask about the angle of rate of change, maximal change, and the magnitude of that. And the magnitude is simply the magnitude of that vector corresponding to the horizontal derivative and the vertical derivative, which of course is just that guy right there, the square root of f of x squared plus f of y squared, where f of x and f of y are the horizontal and vertical derivatives determined by a convolution each. Okay, good. Really simple way to do edge detection. Now, decades of research in edge detection have done much more complicated thing, but this is the basics of edge detection, very similar to what Photoshop does if you ask for edges in an image. So we're going to write some code to do convolution now. Lots of ways, by the way, to do convolution in Python. I'm going to recommend one, but I'm not claiming that this is the best or the only way to do it. SciPy has a nice convolution function called scipy.ndImageIconvolve, which will let you convolve to and higher dimensions. And I'm going to ask you to take as input an image, say the Albert Einstein image, and please compute for me the image gradient. The way you're going to do this is you're going to compute two derivative images, the horizontal derivative and the vertical derivative, using the filters I showed you on the previous slide. You're going to have two images now. You're going to square all their values, sum them up, and then take the square root and show me that gradient. In fact, show me all three of the images to make sure nothing went haywire. Here, by the way, is a little advice when you're doing anything in computer vision or image processing for that matter. Always, always, always look at your images. Don't trust the data. There's nothing more powerful than this for debugging. Display every single thing you calculate, display it, and you will find your bugs much faster than if you're just looking at a bunch of numbers in this huge array of images. Okay, go ahead and try this. Not too many lines of code. The convolution is built in here with convolve. All you gotta do is set up the filters, do the convolution, do the gradient, and display a bunch of things. All right, I'll show you my solution when we come back. All right, I hope you got that. Let me go ahead and show you my solution. I should say, by the way, with these exercises, your code doesn't have to look like my code. Lots of different ways to do this. I really just want you to get the exercise of doing it. And even if you get stuck, it's fine. Don't worry about it. But do go through these solutions and make sure you understand where you got stuck and how to get it right. And ideally, go back and redo your version now that you've seen maybe where you got stuck. So let's bring a few things in. NumPy, of course. We're going to bring in that convolution from SciPy that I told you about. And as usual, we need plot to do MATLAB to do plotting. I'm going to load the image and I'm going to define my filter. Let me say again, strictly speaking, what we're doing is we're convolving with a unit impulse response. That's a lot of words. We tend to call it a filter or a kernel for short. So I'm going to call it a filter. Notice here this has the negative values on top, the zeros here, and then the positive values here. So that's going to measure the rate of change in the vertical direction, and then we're going to go in the other direction as well. Okay, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to do one convolution here and another convolution here. So there's just the convolution call here. This mode reflect, by the way, says to deal with the edges, reflect the image around the boundary, and then use that to define what the values are in the, if you will, negative parts of the image where there's no content. And then I'm going to do the convolution with the filter and the transpose of the filter. That's what gives me the negative and the positive, the negative and the positive. And then I'm going to square them. There's my squaring of the image, which of course I can do now because they're NumPy arrays. And then I'm going to take the square root, and that's my gradient. 3 lines of code for edge detection. Beautiful. And then a bunch of code for doing the display. And then when you do that, you are going to get something like this. So here's my 2 derivatives, my directional derivatives. And then there's my gradient over there, similar to what I showed you before. So you should have gotten something like this, hopefully. All right, 2D convolution. What can you do with it? Well, so far we can do 3 things. We can blur an image, not at all obvious why you'd want to degrade your image. We can sharpen an image. Sure, that seems like a good thing to be able to do to extract information. And finally, we've actually done something that you've probably seen in computer vision. We found edges. And we found edges by just simply convolving with this very simple filter, which is just simply computing differences, computing rate of change in the horizontal direction, rate of change in the vertical direction, summing, squaring, summing, and taking the square root, and we have an image gradient. And those are really useful, by the way, and lots of things in computer vision. You will see it as a pre-processing step. And of course, there's going to be more to come, the power of convolution and what we can do with it.